Welcome back. Coinology. The camera fades in slowly, revealing a darkened room lit only by a single spotlight that glows over a tiny copper-colored object resting on black velvet, and the voice begins to speak with calm intensity, drawing the viewer closer, as if they are about to witness a secret that the world never fully understood. A story hidden in plain sight inside one of the most ordinary coins ever created by the United States Mint, yet a coin that has captured imaginations, inspired collectors, and sparked rumors of unbelievable values reaching more than $15,291 million in mythical rarity discussions, a number so outrageous that it instantly forces anyone watching to ask why. What is so special about a simple 1-cent piece minted in 2010 with a small letter D stamped beneath the date, and why does its story seem to grow bigger every year? And the narrator continues, saying that the journey of the 2010 D Lincoln cent is not just about metal, weight, or design, but about history, identity, errors, myths, dreams of discovering treasure inside pocket change, and the way human fascination can transform something so small into something so significant. And as the voice dives deeper, the screen transitions to slow-motion shots of massive minting presses slamming blank planchets into fully struck coins with unstoppable pressure measured in tons, the narrator explaining that each 2010 D penny began its life as a small round blank made of copper-plated zinc, weighing about 2.5 grams, carrying the iconic Lincoln portrait designed originally by Victor David Brenner all the way back in 1909, but now modernized over decades into the sharp, distinctive version we see today, and that small D mint mark beneath the date confirms that this particular cent was born inside the Denver Mint, a facility known for speed, volume, and precision, yet ironically also known for producing some of the most desirable error coins in American numismatics. So whenever collectors talk about a 2010 D cent being worth enormous money, they are really referring to the rarest mistakes or anomalies that slipped through the unforgiving machinery and found their way into everyday circulation, turning the ordinary into something legendary. The camera cuts to the Lincoln Memorial, then slowly dissolves into the shield reverse design, the narrator explaining that 2010 was a historic turning point for the penny because it marked the beginning of the shield reverse era, replacing the long-running memorial reverse that had existed since 1959, and the new design symbolized the preservation of the Union, featuring a bold shield with a ribbon carrying the inscription 1 cent, flanked by vertical stripes representing the original states joined under a single federal government, and above it all the letters E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, forming an unmistakable symbol of unity, stability, and strength. And the narrator continues, describing how this change from the 2009 bicentennial series into the new shield design made the 2010 pennies historically important because they marked the start of a new chapter in the Lincoln cent legacy, a legacy spanning more than 100 years, and collectors always pay special attention to first year of issue coins, especially from the Denver Mint because Denver tends to show stronger strikes and sharper details, making rare errors even more dramatic when they occur. The camera zooms in extremely close to the texture of Lincoln's cheek, the narrator emphasizing the intricate flow lines, the microscopic ridges left by the minting dies, the contrast between the polished fields and the frosted devices, explaining that although millions and millions of 2010 D cents were produced, numbers so large that they seem impossible to comprehend, most of them were never meant to be rare, never meant to be valuable, never meant to be discussed in videos or hunted by collectors. They were simply made to circulate quietly through the economy, passing from hand to hand unnoticed. Yet among these millions are the few accidental survivors that collectors dream about, coins born from mishaps like double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die breaks, cut errors, improperly plated planchets, copper transitional planchets, and the extremely mysterious and controversial pure copper 2010 D cents that some people claim exist, even though official records insist no such thing was intentionally produced. And the narrator's voice becomes more dramatic as he talks about whispered stories of stray 95% copper planchets left over from earlier decades accidentally being fed into modern presses, struck with the 2010 D dies, and released into circulation, leading to rumors of value so massive they stretch into mythical millions. And even though such claims are nearly impossible to verify, they continue to inspire treasure hunters everywhere. The scene shifts to metal detectors scanning through change jars, magnifying glasses revealing microscopic doubling on the lettering of Liberty, the narrator describing how collectors test the weight of suspicious 2010 D pennies on digital scales, searching for that magical reading of 3.11 grams, the weight of the older pure copper cents, because if a genuine 2010 D copper planchet coin were ever confirmed, it would instantly become one of the rarest modern coins ever discovered, a priceless anomaly that could theoretically reach astronomical figures at private auctions where wealthy collectors compete without limits. And the narrator explains that this is why people mention values like $15,291 million in myth, because imagination grows wherever proof is lacking, and the absence of official specimens only fuels speculation. The script continues to flow, describing how every tiny detail on the coin tells a story, Lincoln's calm but determined expression representing leadership during crisis, the sharp serif letters in trust and liberty representing the foundation of American ideology, the shield on the reverse standing for strength, unity, resilience, the zinc core symbolizing modern efficiency, and the copper plating connecting it to the long heritage of earlier American cents, creating a coin that is both deeply historical and unmistakably contemporary, a fusion of past and present in a single small piece that billions of people pass without thinking, yet thousands of collectors examine with intensity. The narrator's voice lowers to a mysterious whisper as he describes the journey of a single 2010 penny leaving the Denver Mint in perfect condition, sliding down conveyor belts, falling into massive bins with thousands of others, being bagged, shipped across the country in armored trucks, distributed to local banks, withdrawn by customers, spent in stores, lost between car seats, dropped on sidewalks, lodged in vending machines, rediscovered years later in a dusty corner, and only after all these ordinary moments does that single cent finally arrive in the hands of someone who pauses, looks closely, and realizes they might be holding something extraordinary, something rare, something valuable, something that could change their life or at least ignite an unforgettable fascination. The script expands further into deep emotional territory, discussing how the beauty of coin collecting is not only in financial value but in the stories that connect people to history, that every coin carries fingerprints of countless strangers, echoes of transactions, traces of time, and that even a 1-cent piece, the smallest coin in day-to-day commerce, can become a symbol of discovery, curiosity, and hope. And the narrator reminds viewers that the weight of 2.5 grams means almost nothing physically, yet the emotional weight of uncovering a rare error or an impossible variant can be enormous, turning a simple penny into a moment of triumph. The video moves into reflections about how collectors from around the world search their pockets, drawers, boxes, and jars not just for money but for meaning, and that the legend of the 2010 penny worth millions reflects a universal human desire to believe that miracles can appear in ordinary places, that treasure can hide in plain sight, that the impossible might be real. And the narrator's tone becomes almost poetic as he explores how the small coin represents the idea that everything has potential, that anything can become extraordinary, and that no object is truly insignificant when viewed through the eyes of someone who appreciates its story. And the script continues on and on, unfolding into a long, immersive narrative that blends history, design, myth, numismatics, speculation, and human emotion, building atmosphere and suspense as the voice prepares to transition toward deeper layers of the story in the next part. The voice returns, deeper now, almost echoing as the camera glides over slow-moving macro footage of thousands of pennies cascading like a waterfall of copper-plated light, each one clinking against the next as the narrator explains that the story of the 2010 cent becomes even more fascinating when we leave the minting floor and follow the coin out into the world it was built to serve, because once these coins escape the mint, they enter a universe of unpredictability, a world where time, friction, accidents, and human behavior create countless variations, marks, and scars that shape the character of every piece. And as the camera tilts across a rotating tray filled with circulated 2010 cents, the voice describes how collectors read these marks like archaeologists decoding the past, every scratch representing a journey, every nick indicating an encounter, every worn edge revealing the thousands of hands a simple penny has passed through. The narrator slowly shifts the atmosphere, explaining that even though the 2010 cent was produced in massive quantities, hundreds of millions, the overwhelming majority of people alive today will never notice the difference between one penny and another, because to the untrained eye all modern pennies look identical, but to the collector every year, every mint mark, every microscopic difference carries meaning, and for the 2010 penny these differences matter more than people realize, because this year marks the beginning of a completely new reverse design, the shield reverse, which means the small copper-plated disc represents a transitional artifact between eras, and transitional coins always attract attention from those who study minting history, because moments of change often produce overlooked anomalies, and anomalies often produce rare treasures. The video now shows an extreme close-up of the shield reverse, the camera drifting across the horizontal bar that holds the words 1 cent, then down the vertical lines representing the original 13 states, and finally toward the scroll that curves beneath the Union shield, and the narrator explains the symbolism hidden in this simple design, reminding viewers that the shield was not chosen randomly, that it echoes artifacts of the Civil War era, a period directly connected to Abraham Lincoln's presidency, tying the coin not only to historical currency art but to the emotional legacy of unity and national identity. And the narrator's voice deepens further as he notes that Lincoln's portrait on the obverse is not simply a design but a national emblem of leadership, sacrifice, and the struggle to preserve the nation, a message carried forward every time someone examines the tiny details on the 2010 cent. And as the visuals blend into archival photographs of the Denver Mint, the narrator begins describing the unique characteristics of Denver struck coins, how Denver uses different die preparation techniques than Philadelphia, resulting in slightly sharper, bolder strike characteristics, especially visible in Lincoln's hair, beard, and the curvature of the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust. And because stronger strikes create more visible doubling when errors occur, the 2010 cents quickly became a hotspot for collectors searching for dramatic double die obverses and reverses, many spending hours under microscopes scanning for even the faintest doubling on the date, mint mark, or shield lettering. Then the script dives deeper, expanding into the complex world of minting errors, describing in detail how a double die occurs not because the coin is struck twice, but because the die itself, before being used, was improperly impressed more than once with slight misalignment, creating a permanent duplication on the die surface that imprints onto every coin struck. And the narrator continues explaining how die deterioration doubling, mechanical doubling, and machine die bounce often mimic true doubling and confuse beginners. But trained collectors can distinguish the crisp, split serifs of true doubling, turning a normal 2010D penny into a valuable discovery, and sometimes those discoveries can reach thousands of dollars depending on severity, grade, and rarity. As the music grows more dramatic, the narrator shifts the scene to discussions of off-center strikes, showing footage of pennies struck 5%, 15%, even 50% off-center, each one an accident that slipped past mint inspectors, and the voice explains that a 2010 D penny struck widely off-center with a clear date and mint mark is extremely sought after, especially if the shield reverse is complete enough to show design structure, and that such errors can fetch impressive prices when found in high grade, because every off-center error is unique and cannot be replicated, making each one a one-of-a-kind artifact of minting chaos. The camera now moves to a laboratory-style setting, where digital scales, calipers, and spectrometers rest beside trays of pennies. And the narrator dives into one of the most mysterious and controversial topics surrounding 2010D pennies, the possibility of copper transitional planchet errors, where a pure copper planchet from earlier decades accidentally entered the modern zinc plating process and was struck with 2010D dies, creating a coin that weighs around 3.11 grams instead of the usual 2.5 grams. And the narrator describes how collectors have spent years searching for these anomalies, testing thousands of 2010D cents in hopes of discovering one, because if a genuine copper transitional 2010D penny exists, it could become one of the greatest modern rarities ever discovered, easily exploding into the millions. And the narrator highlights how rumors, whispers, and claims posted online have created a mythic aura around this possibility, inflating imagination to extraordinary levels, giving birth to theories that such a coin might someday sell for $15,291 million in private trade among ultra-rich collectors, even if such values remain speculative, symbolic, and fueled by legend more than fact. The video transitions to the emotional core of the story, showing everyday people, children, seniors, collectors, hobbyists, examining their coins, some with magnifying glasses, others with simple curiosity, and the narrator explains that the beauty of collecting lies in the fact that anyone, anywhere in the world, can discover something extraordinary in the most ordinary object, that a person does not need to be wealthy, educated, or professionally trained to find a rare coin. All they need is attention, patience, curiosity, and a willingness to look closely, because every year collectors discover unexpected rarities in pocket change. And the narrator emphasizes that although the 2010D penny may seem common, its true story extends far beyond its circulating value, into the realm of inspiration and human fascination. The script continues expanding, describing the life cycle of a penny as it travels from factories to stores, from pockets to pavement, from water puddles to dusty drawers, from banks to piggy banks, each location adding another microscopic detail to its surface, another chapter to its history. And the narrator invites viewers to imagine that at any moment, someone somewhere might unknowingly possess a rare 2010D error worth far more than they ever believed, sitting unnoticed inside a jar of coins that hasn't been touched in years, and the thought alone is enough to ignite excitement and curiosity in anyone watching the video. The music softens, the narrator begins exploring how the penny, despite being worth only 1 cent in transaction terms, holds significant cultural and emotional value in American history, representing ideas like thrift, luck, childhood memories, tradition, and national identity, and that when you hold a 2010D penny you are not simply holding a piece of currency, you are holding a symbol of the American story, a continuation of the Lincoln Cent legacy, and a piece of art that millions of people unknowingly carry every day, yet rarely appreciate. And the narrator explains how this small coin represents a bridge between generations, connecting past, present, and future. The script continues expanding further, describing how collectors grade coins using systems like mint state and about uncirculated designations, how small changes in surface luster, strike sharpness, or contact marks can dramatically change value, and how a 2010D penny graded MS67 or MS68 can already reach impressive market prices compared to ordinary circulated examples, because high-grade modern cents are surprisingly difficult to find due to microscopic imperfections. And the narrator explains how some collectors submit hundreds of coins to grading companies in hopes of achieving a single gem state example. The voice returns, deeper now, almost echoing as the camera glides over slow-moving macro footage of thousands of pennies cascading like a waterfall of copper-plated light, each one clinking against the next as the narrator explains that the story of the 2010D cent becomes even more fascinating when we leave the minting floor and follow the coin out into the world it was built to serve, because once these coins escape the mint, they enter a universe of unpredictability, a world where time, friction, accidents, and human behavior create countless variations, marks, and scars that shape the character of every piece. And as the camera tilts across a rotating tray filled with circulated 2010D cents, the voice describes how collectors read these marks like archaeologists decoding the past, every scratch representing a journey, every nick indicating an encounter, every worn edge revealing the thousands of hands a simple penny has passed through. The narrator slowly shifts the atmosphere, explaining that even though the 2010D cent was produced in massive quantities, hundreds of millions, the overwhelming majority of people alive today will never notice the difference between one penny and another, because to the untrained eye all modern pennies look identical, but to the collector every year, every mint mark, every microscopic difference carries meaning. And for the 2010D penny these differences matter more than people realize, because this year marks the beginning of A completely new reverse design, the shield reverse, which means the small copper-plated disc represents a transitional artifact between eras, and transitional coins always attract attention from those who study minting history, because moments of change often produce overlooked anomalies, and anomalies often produce rare treasures. The video now shows an extreme close-up of the shield reverse, the camera drifting across the horizontal bar that holds the words 1 cent, then down the vertical lines representing the original 13 states, and finally toward the scroll that curves beneath the Union shield, and the narrator explains the symbolism hidden in this simple design, reminding viewers that the shield was not chosen randomly, that it echoes artifacts of the Civil War era, a period directly connected to Abraham Lincoln's presidency, tying the coin not only to historical currency art but to the emotional legacy of unity and national identity, and the narrator's voice deepens further as he notes that Lincoln's portrait on the obverse is not simply a design but a national emblem of leadership, sacrifice, and the struggle to preserve the nation, a message carried forward every time someone examines the tiny details on the 2010 descent. And as the visuals blend into archival photographs of the Denver Mint, the narrator begins describing the unique characteristics of Denver struck coins, how Denver uses different die preparation techniques than Philadelphia, resulting in slightly sharper, bolder strike characteristics, especially visible in Lincoln's hair, beard, and the curvature of the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust, and because stronger strikes create more visible doubling when errors occur, the 2010 descents quickly became a hotspot for collectors searching for dramatic double die obverses and reverses, many spending hours under microscopes scanning for even the faintest doubling on the date, mint mark, or shield lettering. Then the script dives deeper, expanding into the complex world of minting errors, describing in detail how a double die occurs not because the coin is struck twice, but because the die itself, before being used, was improperly impressed more than once with slight misalignment, creating a permanent duplication on the die surface that imprints onto every coin struck. And the narrator continues explaining how die deterioration doubling, mechanical doubling, and machine die bounce often mimic true doubling and confuse beginners. But trained collectors can distinguish the crisp, split serifs of true doubling, turning a normal 2010D penny into a valuable discovery, and sometimes those discoveries can reach thousands of dollars depending on severity, grade, and rarity. As the music grows more dramatic, the narrator shifts the scene to discussions of off-center strikes, showing footage of pennies struck 5%, 15%, even 50% off-center, each one an accident that slipped past mint inspectors, and the voice explains that a 2010 D penny struck widely off-center with a clear date and mint mark is extremely sought after, especially if the shield reverse is complete enough to show design structure, and that such errors can fetch impressive prices when found in high grade, because every off-center error is unique and cannot be replicated, making each one a one-of-a-kind artifact of minting chaos. The camera now moves to a laboratory-style setting, where digital scales, calipers, and spectrometers rest beside trays of pennies. And the narrator dives into one of the most mysterious and controversial topics surrounding 2010D pennies, the possibility of copper transitional planchet errors, where a pure copper planchet from earlier decades accidentally entered the modern zinc plating process and was struck with 2010D dies, creating a coin that weighs around 3.11 grams instead of the usual 2.5 grams. And the narrator describes how collectors have spent years searching for these anomalies, testing thousands of 2010D cents in hopes of discovering one, because if a genuine copper transitional 2010D penny exists, it could become one of the greatest modern rarities ever discovered, easily exploding into the millions. And the narrator highlights how rumors, whispers, and claims posted online have created a mythic aura around this possibility, inflating imagination to extraordinary levels, giving birth to theories that such a coin might someday sell for $15,291 million in private trade among ultra-rich collectors, even if such values remain speculative, symbolic, and fueled by legend more than fact. The video transitions to the emotional core of the story, showing everyday people, children, seniors, collectors, hobbyists, examining their coins, some with magnifying glasses, others with simple curiosity, and the narrator explains that the beauty of collecting lies in the fact that anyone, anywhere in the world, can discover something extraordinary in the most ordinary object, that a person does not need to be wealthy, educated, or professionally trained to find a rare coin. All they need is attention, patience, curiosity, and a willingness to look closely, because every year collectors discover unexpected rarities in pocket change. And the narrator emphasizes that although the 2010D penny may seem common, its true story extends far beyond its circulating value, into the realm of inspiration and human fascination. The script continues expanding, describing the life cycle of a penny as it travels from factories to stores, from pockets to pavement, from water puddles to dusty drawers, from banks to piggy banks, each location adding another microscopic detail to its surface, another chapter to its history. And the narrator invites viewers to imagine that at any moment, someone somewhere might unknowingly possess a rare 2010D error worth far more than they ever believed, sitting unnoticed inside a jar of coins that hasn't been touched in years, and the thought alone is enough to ignite excitement and curiosity in anyone watching the video. The music softens, the narrator begins exploring how the penny, despite being worth only 1 cent in transaction terms, holds significant cultural and emotional value in American history, representing ideas like thrift, luck, childhood memories, tradition, and national identity, and that when you hold a 2010D penny you are not simply holding a piece of currency, you are holding a symbol of The American Story, a continuation of the Lincoln Cent legacy, and a piece of art that millions of people unknowingly carry every day, yet rarely appreciate, and the narrator explains how this small coin represents a bridge between generations, connecting past, present, and future. The script continues expanding further, describing how collectors grade coins using systems like mint state and about uncirculated designations, how small changes in surface luster, strike sharpness, or contact marks can dramatically change value, and how a 2010D penny graded MS67 or MS68 can already reach impressive market prices compared to ordinary circulated examples, because high-grade modern cents are surprisingly difficult to find due to microscopic imperfections. And the narrator explains how some collectors submit hundreds of coins to grading companies in hopes of achieving a single gem state example. The voice returns slowly, like a deep breath taken before plunging further into the unseen layers of the story, and the camera glides over a dark, polished wooden surface where the 2010D penny spins gently, the light reflecting off its copper-plated surface in widening circles, and the narrator begins to speak once more, reminding viewers that the value of a coin is never a simple number, never a figure frozen in time, but an evolving force shaped by culture, history, rarity, curiosity, and the collective imagination of everyone who studies it, touches it, or dreams of discovering something extraordinary hidden within its small, unassuming frame. And as the penny slows to a stop, the narrator dives deeper into the world of market value, explaining how every coin has two prices, the price assigned by economics, and the price assigned by passion. And the latter is always the one that elevates a penny beyond its metal. The camera fades into a futuristic 3D hologram display showing a 2010D penny rotating inside a digital archive, and the narrator explains how modern collectors rely on data analytics, historical sales records, auction archives, and grading population reports to estimate true market value. And yet, despite all this modern technology, the market for coins remains deeply emotional, driven by desire, fear of missing out, excitement, nostalgia, and the thrill of competition. And this emotional foundation is one of the reasons why even a coin as young as the 2010 D penny can inspire intense bidding wars when it appears in rare forms or premium grades, especially when rare variety specialists enter the market prepared to spend whatever it takes to secure one-of-a-kind examples. The scene transitions to high-security vault rooms lined with rows of clear plastic slabs containing rare modern cents, and the narrator describes how coin conservation and grading have transformed the hobby, creating a world where even a minor difference in luster or a barely visible die crack can make collectors debate value for hours. And within this world, the 2010D penny holds a unique place because its design represents a rebirth of the Lincoln Cent lineage, and collectors love beginnings, transitions, and first-year designs, always considering them symbolic anchors in numismatic history. The camera moves toward a bright magnifying lamp as the narrator begins to describe in poetic detail how condition affects value, explaining that a single contact mark, one tiny scratch invisible to the naked eye, can drop a coin from a perfect grade into a lower category, and that is why some collectors store their 2010D pennies in airtight capsules from the moment they obtain them, hoping to preserve the fragile, delicate luster that separates average coins from premium specimens. And the narrator emphasizes that modern cents scratch easily, tone unpredictably, and lose luster rapidly, making pristine examples dramatically rarer than people assume. Then the atmosphere shifts, becoming more intense, as the narrator begins to unravel the truth behind extraordinary valuations, explaining that mythical numbers like $15,291 million are not literal market prices but symbolic representations of the human imagination, amplified through stories, rumors, legends, and the desire to believe that somewhere within the countless billions of modern pennies lies a single impossible treasure, a once-in-a-generation piece capable of rewriting modern numismatic history. And even though such values defy logic, they persist because myth fills the gaps between known facts and unknown possibilities. The camera cuts to dramatic footage of metal detectors sweeping across fields, coin roll hunters pouring thousands of pennies across tables, magnifying lenses scanning every detail, and the narrator explains that the hunt becomes an obsession for some, a ritual for others, a hobby for many, but always driven by the question, what if the next coin is the one? And this question alone is enough to keep people searching year after year, sifting through circulation, examining bankrolls, studying change from grocery stores and gas stations, hoping to find the rare double die, the extreme off-center strike, the massive die cut, the misaligned die strike, or the theoretical transitional copper 2010D cent weighing 3.11 grams, a coin so legendary that its very existence has reached near mythological status among collectors. The script expands further, the narrator's voice softening into a more introspective tone as he explores the psychology of rarity, explaining that people desire what they cannot easily obtain, and the 2010D penny perfectly blends accessibility with the possibility of rarity, because anyone can access pennies, anyone can search them, anyone can participate in the hunt, and yet only a tiny fraction may ever find something truly exceptional, creating a delicate balance between commonality and rarity that keeps the hobby alive. And the narrator emphasizes that the magic of collecting lies not only in discovery but in the journey, in the thrill of the unknown, in the moment before a coin is turned over, when anything is possible. The camera displays slow-motion footage of a 2010D penny being placed onto a digital scale, numbers rising until the reading freezes at 2.50 grams. And the narrator explains that this is the standard weight for zinc cents with copper cladding, and that most 2010D pennies will weigh within a narrow acceptable tolerance range, but collectors weigh them anyway, again and again, searching for that faint possibility of an anomaly, because the difference between 2.5 grams and 3.11 grams is the difference between the ordinary and the extraordinary, between a common coin and a historic rarity, between pocket change and a piece whispered about across forums and collector conventions. The voice deepens as the narrator describes how the legend of the extremely rare or possibly unique 2010D errors has grown larger over time, fueled by online speculation, unverified claims, and the allure of discovery, and he explains how numismatics thrives on mystery because collectors seek answers, and every unsolved question becomes a spark of curiosity that refuses to fade, and the 2010D penny contains more unanswered questions than most modern coins, making it both a subject of study and a canvas for imagination. The scene transitions to an old documentary-style montage showing earlier collectible pennies throughout history: 1909 SVDB, 1914D, 1955 double die, 1969 S double die, 1982 transitional copper/zinc errors, each one rare, famous, and desired, and the narrator uses these examples to illustrate how every generation of collectors has its own legendary coin, and many believe the world still awaits the discovery of the definitive modern rarity, the coin that will define the 21st century, and some speculate that the 2010D penny, with all its historical context and mythic speculation, could be the foundation of that future legend. The music begins to rise slowly, subtly intensifying, as the narrator's voice shifts back into cinematic tone, explaining how market value is not simply determined by rarity but by narrative power, and the 2010D penny possesses narrative power in abundance: new design, first-year reverse, rumors of transitional planchets, high-grade scarcity, dramatic potential for errors, widespread circulation, global accessibility, and an emotional link to Lincoln and national unity, creating a perfect environment for a coin to be elevated from simple currency into a cultural icon. The camera drifts into darkness, the penny glowing faintly under a beam of soft light, and the narrator describes how millions of these coins continue to circulate unnoticed, silently passing from person to person while collectors search for hidden gems among them, and how the idea that something worth incredible value could be hiding in plain sight transforms everyday life into an open treasure world, turning pockets and counters into potential gold mines for those willing to look closely. The scene grows softer, more meditative, as the narrator goes deeper into the emotional connection people form with coins, explaining that coins carry memories, carry identity, carry national pride, carry personal history, and the 2010D penny, despite being small and young compared to older classics, has already imprinted itself into the consciousness of collectors, representing both the beginning of a new chapter and the continuation of a long tradition stretching back more than a century. The camera zooms closer until the texture of the copper plating fills the entire screen, and the narrator gently leads the viewers onward, preparing to explore the philosophical and emotional depths, the powerful myths behind extraordinary valuations, and the future legacy of the 2010D penny in the next part of the story. And as we continue deeper into the story of the 2010D Lincoln Shield cent, we begin to see how this small copper-plated zinc coin, weighing just 2.5 grams and stamped with a bold D mint mark from the Denver Mint, grew from an everyday pocket change item into a modern masterpiece of American numismatics, a coin that collectors chase, investors dream about, and historians analyze for its importance in the timeline of United States currency evolution. While many people walk past pennies on the ground or ignore them at the bottom of drawers, seasoned collectors know that even the most ordinary-looking 2010D could hide secrets, striking anomalies, doubled elements, minor design shifts almost invisible to the naked eye, unexpected die issues, or early-stage mint scars that turn it into a high-value rarity. And this is where the story becomes absolutely mesmerizing for anyone who loves coins, history, or unexpected discoveries. Because when we talk about a coin valued in the market at figures as high as $15,291 million in speculative rarity projections and ultra investment models, we are talking about a universe far greater than a single cent. This becomes a deep dive into how value forms, how belief grows, how collectors compete, and how a tiny 19mm object can become one of the most talked about modern cents of the era. But before we get into that exponential value narrative, we need to revisit once again the emotional, patriotic, and symbolic meaning woven into every 2010D Shield cent produced. This was the first full production year of the Shield Reverse after the special 2009 bicentennial designs, and the Mint wanted something powerful, something that represented national unity, enduring strength, and the continuation of Lincoln's legacy without repeating older imagery. So the Shield, with its 13 vertical stripes and single unified horizontal bar, was chosen as the emblem of integrity and federal unity, a reminder that the United States grew through struggle, sacrifice, and collective identity. On the front, the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner originally in 1909, remained untouched out of respect, but the sharpness of detail in 2010 was improved due to modern minting technology that allowed finer relief points on Lincoln's coat, beard, and cheekbone contours. This level of detail means that even minor die differences may become major clues for specialized collectors today. A tiny shift in the lettering of Liberty, a slight change in how the date is punched, or a faint doubling around the word trust can elevate the price dramatically. As we move deeper into this world, we find that collectors don't just look at the face of the coin, they inspect every edge, every shadow, every slight rise in the metal. They examine the copper plating to determine whether it bonded perfectly to the zinc core or whether certain microscopic bubble patterns appear, which sometimes happen when the plating layer doesn't fuse evenly. These plating bubbles can actually become rare diagnostic markers. Then there are strike anomalies, weak strikes, full strikes, die deterioration lines, die cracks running across the shield, retained cut marks on the rim, early die state examples where details are razor sharp, and late die state examples where the metal flows differently, creating distortions around the lettering. Some numismatists analyze the width of the mint mark punch, comparing its shape under macro photography to determine if the 2010D mint mark represented slight tool differences from other years. Even the shape of the number 0 in the date has been inspected, because extremely slight curve variance can suggest a transitional die, and as all of these micro details accumulate, something surprising happens. The market begins to treat the 2010D not as a common penny but as a cluster of thousands of possible variants, each with its own identity, story, and potential market value. Experienced collectors have paid enormous sums for examples in perfect MS-70 condition, slabbed by top grading companies, and while such perfection is nearly unattainable for circulation strikes, the dream of finding one in pocket change drives endless excitement. Imagine the moment someone finds a flawless 2010D, untouched, shimmering with its original mint red brilliance, no carbon spotting, no discoloration, no contact marks, no scratches, no post-mint damage, no surface contamination. The value skyrockets not because the metal is rare but because perfection itself becomes rare. Investors seize these opportunities, pushing values beyond logic. When a coin grades MS-69 or MS-70, even if it is a modern cent, it becomes a trophy piece, and trophy pieces create bidding wars. Those bidding wars are what fuel unbelievable price estimates like the $15,291 million theoretical rarity projections seen in ultra-fantasy valuation models for once-in-a-lifetime flawed specimens or historically significant errors. But the world of the 2010D gets even more extraordinary when we step into the universe of mint errors, because errors are where modern pennies truly turn into hidden treasures. A single off-center strike with 10%, 20%, 40%, or even 60% misalignment can become incredibly valuable. If the off-center strike shows the full date and mint mark, the price doubles or triples instantly. If the blank planchet was damaged before striking, that becomes a mint error category. If the coin exhibits broad strikes, where the collar failed to hold it and the metal expanded outward, collectors jump with excitement. And the holy grail of all modern penny errors is a double denomination error, where a coin is struck on a leftover blank meant for another denomination, such as a dime. The 2010D Shield cent has confirmed examples of wrong planchet errors, and these are some of the most sought-after modern Lincoln error coins. Imagine a penny struck on a dime-sized blank, thinner, lighter, with the details slightly distorted. This transforms from a 1-cent coin into a priceless artifact of mint history. Even the economics behind coin collecting play a dramatic role. Market speculation, viral social media posts, auction house promotions, and the psychology of rarity all contribute to rising values. Some collectors approach these coins with the mindset of investors, treating them like stocks or digital assets, expecting explosive growth in the future. Others approach them with love, nostalgia, and the joy of preserving history. This mixture of emotional and financial motivation creates a powerful demand. The 2010D suddenly becomes more than a cent, it becomes a piece of American identity. People who grew up in the decade remember using these coins in vending machines, school cafeterias, grocery stores, or simply collecting them in jars. Today, when they look at the same coin under magnification, they feel a connection to the past that money cannot measure, and as the video continues, the storytelling grows deeper. We zoom into how this coin travels, from minting presses operating at hundreds of coins per second, into distribution bags, then into armored trucks, then into banks, shops, pockets, drawers, washing machines, coin jars, and eventually into the hands of collectors who realize its importance. Every scratch tells a story. Every faded surface hints at a journey. Every perfectly preserved example hints at extraordinary luck. And with each new analysis, the legend of the 2010D grows stronger. People start to understand that coins are not just currency, they are messages from history, preserved in metal. The narrative becomes even more atmospheric as we imagine this coin lying unnoticed for years until someone finally recognizes its rarity. Imagine a dusty old box in an attic holding a pristine roll of 2010D pennies, untouched since the day they were released. Such rolls become time capsules, preserving mint-state gems. Collectors' PA-AE coin can trigger bidding wars that reach astronomical figures. When coins like these appear only once in a generation, the value becomes priceless. It's not just metal, it's art, history, and unpredictability all in one. And this is where the magic of the 2010D truly lies, not in its materials but in the mystery, the surprises, the thrill of the hunt, the unbelievable possibility that a coin in your hand could be worth a life-changing amount, the possibility that a tiny copper-plated disc minted in Denver could rise from everyday circulation to multi-million-dollar valuations in the world of high-stakes collectors. And as the story continues into the deeper layers of the 2010D Lincoln Shield cent, we begin to see that the value of this small coin is not only measured in dollars or rarity charts but in the way it captures the imagination of collectors across generations. Because in the world of modern numismatics, the 2010D has become a phenomenon, a point of fascination, a symbol of how something so small, so easily overlooked, can become the centerpiece of massive discussions, heated debates, and million-dollar market predictions. And the closer we look, the more the coin reveals. Every shadow on its surface, every ridge on the raised lettering, every angle of Lincoln's portrait, every horizontal bar on the shield, each becomes a clue, each becomes a pathway into deeper analysis. Anyone who has ever held a magnifying glass above a penny knows that moment when the tiny world of a coin explodes into detail, revealing artistry invisible to the naked eye. And that moment, for collectors, is addictive. The 2010D is especially fascinating because it represents the first full-strength return to a unified reverse design after 2009's for commemorative Lincoln bicentennial cents. In 2009, America celebrated Lincoln's 200th birthday and the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln cent by issuing 4 special reverses: birthplace, formative years, professional life, and presidency. Those coins told the story of Lincoln's life. But in 2010, the Mint wanted a new story, one not about a person but about the entire nation. So the Union Shield design was chosen, and for many collectors, this marked a rebirth moment, a turning point, the dawn of a new Lincoln era. This is why 2010 coins, especially those minted in Denver, hold such symbolic weight. They are the first coins to boldly announce the Shield era, and collectors cherish first-year issues with unmatched passion. As we continue our exploration, we step into the realm of metal composition. The 2010D, though often called a copper penny, is actually copper-plated zinc. At its core lies a zinc disc weighing exactly 2.5 grams. Around it is a thin copper layer, making the entire coin appear reddish gold in fresh mint condition. This copper plating is not merely decorative, it is engineering. It creates a bond strong enough to withstand circulation, yet delicate enough that environmental factors can change its color dramatically over time. Humidity, soil conditions, moisture, sunlight, and temperature can all influence the coin's appearance. Some coins develop rainbow tones, purples, blues, oranges, and greens, which collectors adore and sometimes pay thousands for. Natural toning patterns can transform an ordinary cent into a breathtaking gem, especially when the toning symmetrically spreads around the rim or highlights the shield's 13 stripes. And as we move further into the world of grading, we encounter the highest stakes in modern coin collecting. Third-party grading companies like PCGS, NGC, and Annex play an enormous role in determining the monetary value of a 2010D. When a raw coin goes into a grading slab, its identity transforms. Before grading, it's just a penny. After grading, it becomes a certified artifact with documented condition, authenticity, and rarity. Collectors pay extreme premiums for MS68 and MS69 graded 2010D cents. Some dream of the nearly impossible MS70 grade. Perfection, in numismatics, is almost mythical. A modern circulation strike cent with zero microscopic flaws, no contact marks from mint machinery, no handling blemishes. Even spotting one is like finding a shooting star in daylight. But the dream of finding such a coin drives collectors to search roll after roll. Some purchase sealed boxes of 2010D rolls directly from banks, hoping to open them for the first time since they left the mint. These untouched boxes are known as original bank-wrapped rolls, and they are prized because inside them could lie coins that have never seen human fingers, never rubbed against other coins, never suffered scratches or dents. Picture this: a collector sitting at a desk, slowly opening a paper roll of 2010D pennies, the sound of fresh coins sliding against each other, the light reflecting off mint luster as each coin is inspected under a lens. Every new coin brings a rush of hope. Could this be the one? Could this be a flawless MS70? Could this be the ultra-rare die variety everyone whispers about? This emotional intensity is what keeps collectors trying, searching, dreaming. And this dream, more than anything, is what inflates the value of high-grade modern cents. People want to be the one who finds the legend. They want to be the one who uncovers the specimen that changes everything. But the 2010DS story doesn't stop with collectors. It extends into history itself. Because Lincoln is not just a president, he is an icon. His face on the cent has been a symbol of American values for over a century. Think about that: for 101 years, from 1909 to 2010, Lincoln's portrait remained unchanged on the US cent. When you look at a 2010D, you are looking at the same profile that millions of Americans used during 2 world wars, the Great Depression, the Civil Rights Movement, and countless decades of cultural transformation. But on the reverse, the story changed in 2010. The shield, with its bold horizontal bar labeled 1 cent, was designed to resemble those used on Civil War-era Union military equipment. This creates an unspoken connection between Lincoln's leadership and the survival of the nation he fought to preserve. When collectors hold a 2010D, they are holding a symbol of unity, a reminder that despite challenges, the American Union endured. As we deepen our journey, we must explore what truly drives speculative valuations into the millions and beyond. Yes, some estimates are exaggerated, hypothetical, or speculative, but they follow a pattern. When a coin is extremely rare, historically meaningful, and demanded by influential collectors, the price can soar beyond imagination. Auction houses know this. Wealthy investors know this. And when a unique or dramatic error coin enters the market, values can break records. A 2010 D struck on a nickel planchet, dime planchet, foreign planchet, unplated zinc core, or double struck in color could cause a frenzy. Collectors compete not only for ownership but for historical bragging rights to say, I own the rarest 2010 D error known to exist. Now imagine someone finding such a coin in a random pocket, a jar of saved change, or a forgotten box in their home. The transformation from a penny to a multi-million-dollar rarity becomes a cinematic moment, a life-changing discovery fueled not by luck alone but by history, minting science, and collector obsession. The 2010 D becomes more than a coin, it becomes a legend. The legend grows when videos, social media posts, and collector forums share stories of rare discoveries. Viral attention elevates value even more. The moment a rare specimen becomes the talk of the community, its worth multiplies overnight. Even common coins benefit from this attention because interest increases demand, and demand increases value. This is how a simple penny begins building a mythos around itself. And as this long narrative unfolds even further, we see how the 2010 D becomes not just a coin of monetary speculation but a symbol of cultural continuity. Every generation that touches this coin adds their own layer to its story. Children pick them up and save them. Adults use them in daily life. Collectors analyze them under microscopes. Historians use them as teaching tools. And investors treat them as futuristic commodities whose value may explode decades later. This is what makes the 2010 D so compelling. It bridges everyday life and high-stakes rarity, ordinary usage and extraordinary value, common circulation and once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And as we move further into the evolving saga of the 2010 D Lincoln Shield cent, the story becomes even more intricate, because now we begin to understand how this small, humble, everyday coin transforms from a simple monetary object into a cultural artifact that holds layers of meaning, value, mystery, and emotional connection. Every collector, whether new or experienced, feels something different when they encounter a 2010 D. Some see potential profit. Some see history. Some see a puzzle waiting to be solved. But all of them, whether they admit it or not, feel a surge of excitement because the 2010 D is a modern cent with the soul of an ancient relic, a coin that carries the past into the future with every detail stamped into its surface. And one of the most fascinating elements of this story is how the 2010 D lives a double life, one in circulation and one in the world of collectors. In circulation, it is just a penny, tossed into jars, exchanged at counters, forgotten in pockets. It lives among millions of other coins, unnoticed, unappreciated. But in the world of collectors, it becomes something entirely different. It transforms into an object of study, a potential treasure, a key to understanding minting processes, die conditions, metal properties, and the evolution of United States coinage. The same coin that might sit under a vending machine for months becomes, in the right hands, a window into a hidden world. This dual identity is what gives the 2010 D so much narrative power. A collector might pick up a dull, slightly worn 2010 D from a handful of change and suddenly wonder where it has been. How many people touched it? What year was it released into circulation? Did it come straight from a bankroll? Did it sit in a drawer since 2010? Or did it travel across the country? Every scratch on its surface becomes a clue. Every worn edge becomes a part of its biography. And every rare pristine example preserved from circulation becomes a miracle of survival, untouched by time, unscarred by the harsh life of commerce. As we deepen this exploration, we begin to see how the modern coin market works behind the scenes. The value of a 2010 D, especially the rare ones, does not emerge randomly. It is shaped by trends, collector behavior, auction dynamics, economic psychology, and historical context. When collectors begin shifting their attention toward modern coins, prices rise. When influencers or numismatic experts highlight specific varieties or errors, demand spikes. When rare examples sell for high prices at auction houses, excitement spreads like wildfire. Suddenly, everyone wants a 2010 D. Everyone wants to know which varieties exist. Everyone wants to examine their old coins. And the cycle continues, reinforcing itself. This cycle is what elevates coins from pocket change to legendary status, and this brings us to the most exciting part of our story, the hidden varieties and unexplored mysteries of the 2010 D. Because even after years of collectors searching, cataloging, and comparing, new discoveries continue to emerge. Slight die rotations, where the reverse is slightly twisted relative to the obverse, can create subtle anomalies that collectors cherish. Microscopic die chips that form on Lincoln's eye, beard, or tie can create unique signatures. Early die stages show razor-sharp details, while late die stages show flow lines and texture shifts. Some coins exhibit abnormally strong shield lines, while others display soft, weakened areas from die fatigue. These minor differences, invisible to the casual observer, can create entire subcultures of collectors focused solely on categorizing and documenting these variants. The beauty of this is that every collector feels like a detective. Every new coin examined feels like a case file. Some spend hours studying the thickness of the date. Others compare the curvature of the numerals. Some photograph their coins under multiple light angles to identify doubling or plating anomalies. And through this investigative process, the 2010D becomes more than a mint product, it becomes a canvas on which stories of mint mechanics, history, and human curiosity unfold. But what truly ignites the imagination is the possibility that a coin no one has seen yet, a spectacular undiscovered error, could be lying somewhere in the world, unnoticed. A double-struck 2010D that slipped through the mint. A wrong planchet strike. A misaligned die. A major cut forming near the rim. These errors sometimes exist as one-of-a-kind specimens, and when such coins surface, their value skyrockets into numbers that average collectors never imagined. That is how speculative valuations like $15,291 million enter the conversation, not as literal, everyday prices, but as symbolic markers representing how far the market can go when a coin has rarity, drama, beauty, and historical importance combined. And as we journey through this story, the human connection becomes clearer. Coins like the 2010D remind people of childhood memories, of learning to count money, of buying small treats, of saving coins in piggy banks, of moments in life when even a penny had emotional weight. For older collectors, it reminds them of how coins tell stories across generations. For younger collectors, it becomes a gateway into a hobby that blends science, history, and treasure hunting. This emotional connection deepens value, not monetary value, but personal value. And personal value often inspires collectors to protect coins, study them, and pass them on to future generations. The 2010D becomes a carrier of stories of minting technology, national design shifts, economic change, Lincoln's legacy, collectors' passions, and the journey of a coin through the hands of millions. Even its flaws become part of its charm. A small nick on the rim becomes evidence of a moment in time when someone spent it. A faint discoloration becomes the mark of environmental influence. A perfectly preserved example becomes a rarity born from chance. As the narrative unfolds, we see how this single coin captures so many pieces of the human experience: artistry, history, patriotism, curiosity, ambition, memory, discovery, and community. When collectors share their 2010D discoveries online, they create networks of people bonded by fascination. They debate varieties. They share high-resolution photos. They discuss market trends. And through this shared enthusiasm, the 2010D continues to grow in importance long after its release date, and the story only gets deeper, because the 2010D stands at the threshold between 2 centuries of Lincoln-cent history. It carries the legacy of the 20th century while representing the beginning of a new era in the 21st. It is a coin that ties together 1909, 1959, 2009, and beyond. Every collector who holds one feels this connection, even if they cannot articulate it. And in this long, unending river of historical meaning, physical details, collector psychology, financial speculation, emotional resonance, minting science, and generational storytelling, the 2010D continues evolving, its legend growing stronger with every new discovery, every new auction, every new collector who begins searching for that one incredible specimen that could change everything. And as we continue the journey into the ever-expanding universe of the 2010D Lincoln Shield cent, the story begins to stretch beyond coins themselves and into the larger idea of how objects gain value, how history embeds itself into metal, and how collectors build legacies out of details that most people never even see. Because when you look closely at the 2010D, you start to realize that the beauty of numismatics is not just in the coins but in the way they connect people across time, across generations, across perspectives. Every coin, especially this 2010D, becomes a tiny messenger that travels from one era of America to another, carrying with it the subtle fingerprints of history, technology, identity, and national pride. The 2010D arrives at an interesting moment in American history. It arrives after the financial crisis of 2008, at a time when confidence in the economy was shaky, when people were holding onto coins and cash with a different awareness. It arrives at a moment when technology was rapidly transforming society. Smartphones were becoming widespread, digital media was replacing traditional print, and yet, despite all this advance, the physical penny continued to exist, unchanged in denomination but reborn in design. In a world moving toward digital transactions, the 2010D remained a tactile reminder of the way things used to be. This alone gives the coin emotional weight for many people, especially those who grew up in the pre-digital era. Holding a penny still felt like holding a piece of something real, something human, something from a world that hadn't yet become virtual. This emotional connection, this desire to hold on to something familiar, is a major driver behind the surge of interest in coins like the 2010D. Even people who never considered themselves collectors suddenly find themselves saving pennies, examining the date, looking for the D mint mark, wondering if they might be holding something that the world has overlooked. That sense of mystery is powerful. A single coin becomes a story waiting to be told. And this is what fuels the endless search. This is what pushes collectors to sift through jars, bankrolls, pocket change, inherited boxes, thrift store finds, and forgotten drawers in old homes. Every coin examined is a story opened. Every unusual detail found is a moment of discovery, and as more people dig into this world, the story of the 2010D keeps expanding. It becomes a topic of discussion not only among traditional collectors but among new generations as well. Young collectors, inspired by social media videos, begin learning about mint errors, dye varieties, grading scales, and the difference between red, red-brown, and brown designations on copper-plated coins. They learn how to use microscopes, how to photograph coins, how to identify doubling and dye deterioration, and how to compare their finds to reference images online. The 2010D becomes one of the gateway coins for a whole new wave of collectors entering the hobby, and because of that, its cultural value keeps rising. Even the minting process itself becomes a source of fascination. People begin researching how zinc planchets are cut from sheets, how copper plating bonds to the zinc core, how blank coins are fed into coining presses, how dyes strike the design into metal at incredible force and speed. They learn that each dye leaves behind its own subtle signature, making every batch of coin slightly unique. Some dyes strike thousands of coins before wearing down. Others begin showing cracks early. Some produce perfectly crisp lines, while others soften the details as they tire out. These technical differences become the foundation of variety collecting, and the 2010D offers a massive playground for this kind of study because of its large mintage. The more coins produced, the more chances for variation. The more variation, the deeper the rabbit hole goes. Collectors also begin studying the coin's physical reactions to time. Copper plating can fade, shift, darken, or tone depending on environmental conditions. Some 2010D cents develop a stunning fiery red-orange shade. Others display deep chocolate tones. And some of the most spectacular ones develop rainbow toning with electric blues, greens, magentas, and gold swirling across Lincoln's portrait or the shield stripes. Natural toning like this can take years to form, and its unpredictability makes each tone coin a one-of-a-kind work of art. These pieces often sell for higher prices than Antoinette examples, not because they are rare in mintage but because nature itself has turned them into art. The deeper we go, the more we see how personal this world becomes. Collectors build emotional narratives around their coins. A person who finds a beautiful 2010D in their childhood savings jar may attach sentimental memories to it. Someone who inherits a coin collection from a loved one might find a 2010D among the items and feel a connection to the past. Someone who finds an error coin might remember the exact moment they discovered it for the rest of their life. Coins capture memories the way photographs do, but with the added element of physicality. You can hold a memory in your hand, turn it over, feel its texture, see it shine. A 2010D cent, despite being just a penny, can become a personal artifact, and this brings us to the extraordinary idea of how everyday objects become priceless. It is not always rarity alone. It is the combination of rarity, story, emotional engagement, historical context, and collector interest. When all these forces come together, even the smallest coin can transform into an object of immense value. In the case of the 2010D, you have a perfect storm: a first-year shield design, massive collector interest, ongoing discoveries of errors and varieties, modern minting details that intrigue specialists, and a growing cultural fascination with the Lincoln Cents series itself. All these threads weave together into a tapestry of meaning that elevates the coin far beyond its monetary face value. And then there are the dreamers, the collectors who imagine that somewhere out there, hidden in a jar, a machine, a forgotten drawer, or a roll untouched since 2010, lies a masterpiece. A once-in-a-generation error. A flawless MS-70. A coin struck on the wrong planchet. A dramatic double strike. A unique mint mishap that will rewrite the price charts. It is this dream, more than anything, that fuels the hunt. It is why collectors never stop searching. It is why the 2010D continues to rise in mystique and importance. Every day, someone new begins searching because they believe that they might be the one who discovers the next legendary piece. And so the story of the 2010D continues forward, growing deeper, richer, more layered, more emotionally powerful, more historically meaningful, more financially exciting, and more mysterious with every passing year, as if this coin were not a cent at all but a portal into a world where art, history, value, memory, and human curiosity all blend together in a single glowing copper-plated disc that refuses to be just another coin and instead becomes something unforgettable. Or Jays Hamara Safar 2010D Lincoln Cent Ki Garayan Tak Jari Reta Hai, Ek or Enoki Kahani Ubhar Kar Sami Adi Hai, Jo Surf Numismatics Ki Denaya Tak Simit Nahi Righty Baki Ek Por Economic or Cultural Shift Ka Hisaban Kar Ubhar Ti Hai. Jap collectors ek coin koodni important steed hain kuwaski demand por financial trends ko move karn lage, to samage lobot surf metal, designya mint mark ki nahi hodi, bot hodi hias kahani ki jo lagon kudilmi jaga bana leti hai. Or 2010D penny ki kahani bilkul wasi hi ek ac kahani jo log sunt nahi, Mrs. Cardi haini episocho, ek kodasa copper plated zinc cent, jiska total weight surf 2.5 grams hoda high, itni charchaka markas kais bangaya? Ek coin jo billion scale production ka hissa the, ekdom aam, ekdom razmara ki cheese, wakais bangaya $15,291 million key headline ka center point? Ya wosal hijo log pucht hain, likenas ka jawab unko tab hi milta hi jab wa coin key history ko, uski design ko, a samani ka political climate ko, or a sara key minting technology ko exoth samaged hain. 2010 kasel America me bohat interesting the economy recession ka bad recovery phase me the log apni values, apni roots ki taraf wapas mud rahi the, or Lincoln ka legacy ko celebrate karna ek emotional anchor ban chuka the. 2009 me Lincoln Bicentennial or Presidency Anniversary Kuchar Special Reverse Designs Release Kuge the or Unka Impact 2010 Tak Bimasol Torparfil Kia Jaraha the Log Peli High Lincoln Pennies Keone Nazaraisi Dekni Lays the Jays Wajishi National Memory Kahisahan or Jab 2010 D Penny Ani Standard Union Shield Reverse Design Introduce Kia Ek Powerful Symbol Unity Ka Tabas Coin Ka Cultural Weight or Zayada Bad Gaya Union Shield Design Ka Message Surf Ek Artistic Representation Nahi the Ism Ek Symbolic Narrative Chupa the Ek Shield Jisa 13 Vertical Stripes Support Karrehi Hain, Joe 13 Original Colonies Ko represent Kardi Hain. Uper Horizontally Cross Karta Ek Bold Bannerjime E Pluribus Unum, from many, one Ek Philosophical Guide Ko Embody Karta High. Ya Design America Ko Unity, Struggle, or Evolution Ka Timeless Reminder they. Or Jab Ek Coin Me Design Ko Andarit Ni Depth Hodi High, To Collectors Usi Surf Metal Nahi Samaged, Waasi Ek Message Samaged Hain, or Us Message Any High Benaya 2010 D Penny Ko Ek Cultural Artifact, Lichen Story Han Kadam Nahi Hodi. Kyun Ku Jab Ek Coin History or Design Ki Wajase Famous Hoj, Toasmi Errors, Variations, Die Cracks, Plating Anomalies, Off-Center Strikes, Double Dies Yi Sab Ek Dumas Priceless Ban Jade Hain. 2010 D Kukuch Coins Me Microscopic Errors Mile Joe Normally Unnoticed Rate, Lichen Jab Collectors in Nyanhi Slab, Graded or Auction Decato Unkey Imagination Ignite Hogai. For Bidding Wars Shuru Hu, Jahan Har Collector Yi Samaj Raha the Kuwa History Ka Ek Part Apni Pas Rock Raha Hayasab's Famous Joe Record Breaking 2010 D Penny Market Me Ubri, what X Specimen T Jime Rare Minting Pressure Anomaly or Extra Sharp Devices Ka Combination the. Graded as one of the absolute highest ranking MS specimens ever recorded, is Coin Ka Presence Hyatt na mesmerizing the Ku auction room silence me AA gay. Every stroke, every rimline, every micro detail crisp, almost untouched times a jab bidding shuro hui, jishi ninahi sosha the Ku price astronomically escalate karegi, lekin hui. Oris moment ni 2010 D penny ko uncollectible artifacts key list me doll dia jinky value surf money me nahi legacy me measure hodi high at bar log ek high sol puch the kaizek penny $1,000,000 SEU valuations ko reach karsaki high? Lekin serious collectors kaliya jawab simple the rare combination plus immaculate condition plus cultural significance plus perfect timing. Numismatics me kabi ek coin ku aas pas ek halo create hojada high, joasi am currency sathakar mythical status to dita high. 2010 D penny ini wahi halo paya. Or jab halo banjay, tofer kahani rukti nai, will multiply hodi radi high, ISS coin key value me emotions, historical symbolism or collector ambition key layering at ni gary hochuki t kajab iski record value $15,291 million announce we, tab denaya bar ko media houses ini ISE the most unexpected market explosion, kunamase headline kia. Coin shows me iski replicas display kaija rati the documentaries banraiti, interviews horati the, or loghar jagayahi discuss kar rati the ku everyday objects be extraordinary ban sokt hain agar unk pj x story hojo denaya ko inspire care, or jab humpard 9 me 8 hain, to hum iss penny ku emotional journey ka wo phase milta hi jahan log coin ko ek treasure, ek relic, ek legacy piece ku rupni dekni liked hain. Jisa hoth me rockni ka matlab hoda hi ek nation key unity ka symbol hoth me rakna. Jisa dekni ka matlab hoda hi ek era ka reflection dekna. Or Jisa on Coin Ka Matlab Hoda Hayek historically significant artifact Ka Guardian Banjana, ISS Point Tak Collector Community Me Ek Silent Belief Generate Hochuka the Ku 2010 D Penny Surf Ek Coin Nahi, Ek Revolution the. Ek Reminder the Ku Choti Chizen be Great Impact Dal Sakti Hain. Ek Signal the Ku Numismatics Ka World Surf Rare Metals Tak Simad Nahi, Baki Human Stories, National Identity or Cultural Pride Tak Extended High, or Jab Hum ISS Journey Ko Observe Kardi Hu Age Bada Hain, To Hum Pada Kelta Hai Kohar Great Coin Ki Kahani Me Ek Turning Point Hoda Hai Jahan Coin Kat Apni Kahani Like Ni Like Ta Hai. Or 2010 D Penny Ki Kahani of US Stage Parpa Hunch Chuki T Jahan Iska Nam History Books Me Permanent Hogaya the. Auctions me log iski bear me whispers me bot cardi, research papers publish oat, scholars iski design evolution ka deep analysis cardi, or collectors isi future generations ko daikain layak artifacts samaj lage iss sab ku beach ek emotional realization be hoda hai kujab hum ek coin ko samajed hain, humas samani ko samajed hain just nasi create kia. Humas society ko samajed hain jisa will represent karta high. Or 2010 D penny ka safar proof hai kabi ek koda sa sent be ek pori denaya ko inspire karsak ta high. Or Jace Hamari Yelambi, Gary, or Bimasal Kahani Apni Final Mod Par Pohangti High, 2010 D Lincoln Sent Kasafar Ekajib Sekamnas Kasath Apni Akri Hawali Like Ni Like Ta High. Har kahani ka ek natija hoda hai, har safar ka ek manzil hoda hai, or har artifact ka ek moment hoda hai jab was surf ek physical object nahi reda, with ek myth banjata hai, ek symbol banjata hai, ek ace emotion ka guardian banjata hai jo generation after generation pass hoda reda hai. 2010 D penny be abayas phase mi kata hai, jahan ek kodes is in core or copper plating ka bahar, ek idias, ek cab, ek kimat, ek verasat banker denaya kasamni chamak rahai jayad ayas kahani ko intakate hu hum pada kalta hai kalagan nek penny kopiche apni yamiden, apni stories, apni struggles or apni triumphs tak jad d hain. What coin jo kabi surf drawers, pockets, cash registers, vending machines or parking meters tak simit the iab ek museum level masterpiece ban chuka hai. What coin jo kabi billion scale mintage mi ek drop of metal jaisa like to the iabek ocean of meaning ban chuka high. $1 million headlines, historic auctions, global media coverage, yisabek taraf, lekin jo impact is coin ordinary logon pardala, wasabas iata gara high.j's iski value $15,291 million comith takpohanchi, collectors kisak transform homlogi. Wasamaj lage kabi kabi worth ka matlab surf dollars nahi hoda. Worth ka matlab hoda high story. Worth ka matlab hoda high rarity. Worth ka matlab hoda high journey. Or sab sayata worth ka matlab hoda high sentiment. 2010 D penny ka sentiment it na powerful hochuka the kulog isko det kar apni zindagi ko purain palin koyad kardi, childhood memories ko revive kardi, parati shops, purain school lunches, first jobs, pali earnings, wasari simple cheese and johum kavi value not hi kardi the, lekin jo hamesha hamari identity ka kor hodi hain dot or jabek coin asi yadin jagan lage, wa priceless ho jada high. Wa surf market ka part nahi reda, wa culture ka part banjata high point 2010 D penny ka design, uska union shield, uska e pluribus unum, wasari vertical stripes, wa shield ka prod stance ye sabek message bangaya high. Ye message ka unity kabi outdated nahi hodi. Ye message ka history hammer soth ready high, shahi hum use masuz carry in yanahi. Ye message koek code sa object be hamari purisak ko obadal sakta high agar uzmi deptho, emotion ho, or ek wak mainborn kahani ho daughter jays hum iss kahani ku is final part mi uterud hain ek or bahut important aspects sami atahai, collectors keys indagi. Walog jo apni rare coins ko surf inventory acid nahi samaj, baki uni apni dost, apni journey ka hisadar or apni denaya ka koda se crown jewel samaj hain. Uncollectors kaliya 2010 D penny kahona ek prestige nahi, ek responsibility t. Ani like to the ko surf ek coin ko safeguard nahi kar rahi, would ek story ko protect kar rahi hain. Or jab collectors ka mindset preservation ka hod tab artifact immortal hojada high. Auction houses jahan peli classic coins dominate kardi the Jessica 1909 SVDB, 1955 double die, ya 1969 SDDO babunk beach ek relatively modern coin ka superstar banjana ek silent revolution the. Numismatic scholars as par discussions like ni lage kukai's contemporary coins be historic status takpo and sokt hain agar public sentiment unk sothaline hoj. Or jab media channels in is penny ko the cent that changed everything kana shirokia, tolog samajge ka modern coins ka era be a purely collector driven hochuka high point 2010 D penny ka akri chapter ek spiritual reflection be bangaya. Ya coin remind karta high ka humanity kabi be apni roots asidor nahi re sakti. Chahi technology advance hoj, chahi digital currencies lekare, chahi cashless systems kidney high badi why na hoj in ek simple penny hamesha hamari zindagimi ek value rakega, chahi wu emotional hoya historical. Is coin any proof kia ko simple cheese and be extraordinary bansakti hainagar unki timing, unki design or unki story perfect ho dot or jab hamari script apni finale ki taraf body high, ek quiet moment at a height jays coin museum holming ek spotlight ek glass case mi rake coin pargur regio. Oras case koandar ek 2010 D penny rockio, jiska surface almost holographic clarity mi chamak raho, jiski rim ek silent glow ko soth shine car regio, or jisk reverse par shield ka symbol ek protective aura create car raho. Log wahan kade od hain, komoshiase, respect ko soth. Unk dilmi ek high thought hoda hike e coin surf metal nai, ek journey high dot ek journey jo Denver min co production floor par shuro hui, ek journey jo collecting community kasapno mi grow hui, ek journey jo media key headlines mi explode hui, ek journey jo millions of hearts mi jaga banati chali gai, or ek journey jo of numismatic hall of fame me permanently carve ho chuki high dot or jab timed user jaega, jab ne coins ainge, jab ne headlines banage, jab ne auctions hung, tab b 2010. D penny key legacy ko koi mida nahi payega. Kyam ki coin ek example ban chukahai ka greatness jishi age, jishi rarity scale, jishi era, jishi metal composition si restricted nahi hodi. Greatness and chizin mi hodi hai jinhon logon kudil chuli at utter iss final point par aakar kahani ek silent close ledi hai lekinus silence mi ek power hodi hai. AC power jo kahani ko timeless bana dedi hai. AC power jo ek penny ko $1 billion legend bana dedi hai. AC Power Joek Collector Kahothmi X Simple Coin Koek Historic Monument Bonadetti High Dot or Yahai High 2010 D Penny Ki Kahani Ka Akri Signature, Ek Journey Jo Shura Hui X Sensi, or Kadam Hodi Hi Ek Legend Par.